Tonight, wherever you are, flip a switch and the dark disappears instantly. Streetlights, phone screens, a porch light you never think twice about. Zero effort, zero waiting. Total control over the dark on demand. Now imagine a night with none of that. No glowing screen to check. Not dim, not orange city glow. No street lamp humming quietly on the corner. Actual total darkness. Dark enough that human eyes alone without any fire could barely make out a shape a few steps away. Familiar ground walked so many times it could be navigated almost entirely from memory. Mattered more than eyesight most nights. For most of human history, that wasn't a rare camping trip. Today we treat that kind of darkness as a special trip, something planned and packed for. That was every single night. No candle either in most times and places. That came far later and was expensive even once it existed. Not a few dim hours before bed. Genuinely half of the entire day, every day, spent with no artificial light source at all. Roughly equal footing, light and dark, for nearly the entire span of human existence. And on nights with no moon at all, that darkness was close to absolute. Hearing did most of the work eyesight couldn't on nights like that. A snapped twig, a shifted breath of wind, a distant call, read and interpreted instantly without a single word needed. And above it a sky most of us have literally never seen. The Milky Way spread edge to edge as the ordinary, unremarkable night sky, something almost nobody living in a modern city has ever actually witnessed. S24 image prompt. Scene parchment info card. Text Richard Wrangham, Harvard University. With a simple line art icon of a small campfire beside a clock. Light parchment background. Part of the answer starts with fire itself. Evidence of controlled fire use stretches back at least 1 million years, long before modern humans even existed. Primatologist Richard Wrangham at Harvard University has argued that controlled fire didn't just change what early humans ate. It changed how much of the day was actually usable at all. A fire kept most large nocturnal predators at a distance, something raw darkness alone never could. It also meant surviving cold nights without simply freezing, in climates that would otherwise have been unlivable after dark, which meant the usable day stretched hours past sunset for talking, for tool repair, for teaching, for simply staying warm together. Skills got passed down specifically in these hours, when the day's physical work was already finished and nothing else competed for attention. A small circle of light does something a fully lit room never has to. It forces everyone's attention into the same small space. So what did people actually do for roughly half of every day with nothing but darkness and starlight? Let's start with a popular idea about ancient sleep that turns out to be wrong. In 2005, historian Roger Ekirch at Virginia Tech published a striking claim in a book called At Day's Close. Combing through centuries of diaries, court records, and old literature, he argued that pre-industrial people in Europe didn't sleep in one continuous block. Instead, they had a first sleep and a second sleep, with an hour or two of quiet waking activity in between, prayer, conversation, even visiting neighbors in the middle of the night. Ekirch based this specifically on records from a fairly narrow slice of history, mostly pre-industrial England and parts of Europe. The idea caught on widely. It showed up in popular science articles, sleep advice books, even casual conversation, treated almost as settled fact. Some modern sleep advice even suggested people struggling with insomnia try recreating that exact 2-block pattern. It felt intuitive. No artificial light, so why would sleep look anything like ours? So is that how ancient humans going back tens of thousands of years actually slept? Not exactly. In 2015, researchers led by Gandhi Yetish studied 3 living pre-industrial societies directly: the Hadza and San of Africa and the Tsimane of Bolivia. Published in Current Biology, their findings told a different story. These groups, living with essentially zero artificial light, mostly slept in one continuous block, not two. Insomnia was also almost unheard of, despite none of them owning a mattress, a clock, or a bedroom. Their average sleep duration wasn't even dramatically different from typical modern sleep either, just slightly shorter and far more consistent. 3 unrelated societies on 2 different continents with no contact with each other, and the pattern held across all of them. What did line up tightly with darkness was timing, not fragmentation. People fell asleep hours after sunset once temperatures dropped and woke up before sunrise, not the moment it got dark, usually a couple of hours later, once the day's heat had actually faded. Darkness set the schedule. None of this necessarily proves Ekirch's historical European sources were wrong about their own era, but it does mean segmented sleep clearly isn't some fixed, universal default written into human biology by darkness alone. The real picture, once actually tested, turned out to be more specific and more interesting than the popular version. Good research does that sometimes. It doesn't just confirm a good story, it improves on it. It didn't necessarily split the night in 2. With that much uninterrupted night, the sky itself became something worth paying close attention to. Researcher Dwayne Hamisher at the University of Melbourne has spent years documenting the astronomical knowledge embedded in Aboriginal Australian traditions. One of the clearest examples isn't even made of stars. It's made of the dark spaces between them. Along the Milky Way, dark dust clouds form a shape many Aboriginal groups read as an emu stretched across the sky. And the emu's position, tracked night after night through the year, told people something very specific. When it appeared a certain way, it signaled roughly when wild emus would be laying eggs. Miss that window, and the eggs would already be gone by the time anyone thought to go looking. The same pattern, read the same way, worked reliably across many generations in a row, a valuable time-limited food source. The night sky wasn't decoration. Hamaker's research documented dozens of similar star-linked calendars across different Aboriginal groups, tracking everything from fish spawning to seasonal storms, passed down the same way most ancient knowledge traveled, spoken, repeated, and pointed at directly night after night for generations. No written star charts required, just a clear sky and someone willing to look up and explain it. It was a calendar, built from total darkness and completely invisible under artificial light. So has modern lighting simply given that time back to us, safely and for free? Not exactly. In 2016, a team led by researcher Fabio Falci published the most detailed map ever made of artificial light at night in the journal Science Advances. The numbers were stark. Roughly 80% of the world's population now lives under light-polluted skies. In North America and Europe specifically, the numbers were even higher. Falci's team built the map using satellite data, layered with ground-based sky brightness measurements from around the world. About a third of humanity can no longer see the Milky Way from where they live at all. Roughly 60% of Europeans face the exact same blank sky. Entire generations are growing up never having seen, even once, the sky their ancestors read every single clear night for tens of thousands of years. We didn't just add light to the darkness. In a lot of places, we erased the night sky completely, along with an 8,000-year-old habit of reading it. The glow from a single mid-sized city alone can wash out a visible sky for dozens of kilometers in every direction. Ancient humans didn't fear the dark half of every day. They built an entire second life inside it: fire, story, sleep time to temperature, a calendar written in stars. None of it required defeating the dark. All of it required learning to live inside it closely and carefully. We got rid of the darkness almost completely. S98 image prompt. Scene: parchment info card. Simple icon of a small remote campsite far from any city glow, a full Milky Way visible above it. Light parchment background. It's still there technically, just a car ride away from most cities, past the edge of the glow. A short trip most people never bother to take. Some regions now formally protect small patches of true darkness, specifically because it has become rare enough to need protecting. What quietly went with it was a sky most humans, for nearly all of history, could simply look up and read.